Everyone wants to be understood, but only a few people ever master the art of understanding others. Most rely on words, emotions, and assumptions. The Machiavellian mind relies on patterns, context, and contradictions. Reading people isn't about being psychic. It's about paying attention to what everyone else ignores. When you learn this skill, people stop being a mystery. Their motives, fears, and weaknesses become clear. And once you see them clearly, you move through the world with quiet, dangerous precision. Let's dive into the steps of reading someone so clearly. The first step: observe without emotion. Most people don't really observe, they react. The moment someone speaks or behaves a certain way, we rush to form opinions. But judgment blinds you, but observation enlightens you. Let's say you meet someone who's overly friendly from the start. Constant compliments, laughter, physical touch. It feels warm, but it's information. What are they trying to achieve? Why the eagerness? Truly confident people don't need to convince others they're likable. They let others come to that conclusion naturally. That fake warmth is not friendliness, it's strategy. It could mean they're insecure, manipulative, or desperate for approval. Machiavellian observation means separating emotion from perception. When you stop reacting, people reveal themselves naturally. The more calm and unreadable you are, the more loudly their behavior speaks. The second step: study behavior, not words. Words are rehearsed. Behavior is instinctive. People can control what they say, but not what their body betrays in a moment of stress or discomfort. Imagine someone saying, "I'm fine," while their voice tightens, their shoulders lift slightly, or their eyes blink faster. They've said, "I'm fine," but their body is screaming, "I'm hiding something." Or picture a coworker who calls everyone friend, yet avoids eye contact when you discuss team results. They might be masking guilt, envy, or insecurity. To read people accurately, watch their baselines, their normal behavior. Once you know what normal looks like for them, any deviation becomes a signal. The key is comparison. For example, if someone is usually calm but becomes defensive when a particular name is mentioned, you found a pressure point. A Machiavellian mind notices these small deviations instantly and stores them. Because every repeated reaction is a pattern, and every pattern exposes a weakness. The third step: read the contradictions. The truth hides in inconsistency. People can fake anything except congruence, the perfect alignment between their words, actions, and emotions. When you notice contradiction, you've found their fracture line. Take, for example, someone who constantly preaches loyalty, yet speaks poorly about others behind their backs. Or a person who claims to not care about money, yet gets defensive whenever money is discussed. That contradiction tells you what they're really attached to. In the Machiavellian sense, contradictions are not to be confronted. They're to be collected. You gather them like evidence, piece by piece, until you can predict exactly how someone will react in a situation. Then, when you need to influence them, you use those contradictions to your advantage, gently, invisibly. The fourth step is listening for intent, not content. People rarely say what they mean. They say what they want you to believe. The Machiavellian listener doesn't take statements at face value. He listens for intent. For instance, a person who constantly says, "I don't care what people think," deeply cares what people think. They're trying to convince themselves and you that they're free from judgment, when in truth, They're enslaved by it. A truly indifferent person never needs to announce their indifference. Or imagine a friend who tells you, "I hate drama," yet always brings you stories of conflict and gossip. They don't hate drama, they crave significance. They want to feel involved. Once you detect their intent, you know exactly what drives them. When you understand what someone wants, you understand what controls them. And when you understand what controls them, you control them. The fifth step is to test power. Gently, power reveals the truth faster than time ever will. You don't need to wait years to understand someone. You just need to give them a taste of control and observe. Let's say you're working with a new team member. You assign them a small leadership role. Can you handle this part of the meeting? If they become overbearing, rude, or overly confident, you've seen their nature. If they use the opportunity to lift others up, you've seen their character. People are their most honest selves when they feel powerful, and their most careful selves when they feel weak. So you don't just observe people when they're struggling, observe them when they're winning. Victory strips off the mask faster than defeat ever will. The sixth step is using silence as a mirror. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and in discomfort, truth spills out. If you ask someone a question and then remain silent, they'll almost always fill the gap. In trying to ease the tension, they reveal extra details, emotions, and motives they didn't plan to. For example, if someone says, "I wasn't the one who caused the problem," and you simply nod and wait, they'll likely continue. "I mean, maybe I said something small, but it wasn't serious." They just gave you more than you asked for. In conversation, the one who speaks less controls more. Silence is not passivity, it's pressure disguised as calm. The seventh step is patterns over time. Anyone can fake a single moment, but over time, patterns expose everything. You'll notice that the friend who always forgets to pay you back isn't forgetful. They're opportunistic. The colleague who constantly apologizes before making mistakes isn't clumsy. They've learned that weakness invites forgiveness. The person who switches personalities depending on who's around isn't adaptable. They're manipulative. Observe people long enough, and you'll start to see the same cycles repeat. This is how Machiavellians predict behavior, not through intuition, but through pattern recognition. Human nature is repetitive. People rarely change. They just become more skilled at hiding their nature. The eighth step is detaching, emotionally, not ethically. To read others effectively, you must detach emotionally, not because you're heartless, but because emotion clouds logic. The moment you like or dislike someone too much, you stop seeing them clearly. You start filtering their behavior through bias. Detach, but don't dehumanize. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. If you can care without being controlled by that care, you'll see people exactly as they are. And finally, master principle. See, don't react. The Machiavellian observer's greatest power is neutrality. You don't flinch when insulted. You don't overreact when praised. You stay centered, observing every shift in tone, expression, and energy. People reveal everything in your calmness. They grow nervous, they talk more, they justify themselves, and the moment they try to read you, they realize they can't. That's when you know you've already won. Because while they're guessing what you're thinking, you already know what drives them, what scares them, and what they'll do next. That's what it truly means to read people like a book, to walk through life seeing patterns where others see faces, to move not by instinct, but by insight, and to never again be surprised by human behavior.